Okay, today we're going to go over the different types of costs that items can be categorized into when you're manufacturing a product. In this case, we're going to be building a home. Okay, so we're going to tell whether it's a direct material, direct labor, manufacturing overhead, an administrative expense, or a selling expense in the cost type column. And then over here, we're going to categorize it if it's a product cost or a period cost. If it's a product cost, it's either going to be direct material, direct labor, or manufacturing overhead. All three of those are your product costs. They're what it costs to build the product, whatever product you're building. In this case, it's a home. Period costs are those things that are going to be expensed on your income statement right away. They don't go into the cost of the product. So those would be your advertising, your administrative expenses and your selling expenses. Sorry, I had a brain fart there for a second. Okay, so let's hop right into it. The first item we have is nails. And it says, hint, this cost is immaterial to the overall production of the product. So we do use nails when we're building a house. However, it says it's immaterial to the overall cost. It's still a production cost, okay? It's still a cost of producing the house, but it's not going to be direct materials. Anytime you see that the cost is immaterial to the overall production of whatever product you're doing, you know it's going to be manufacturing overhead. It's not going to be a direct material, even though it is a material that goes into the cost of building the product. It's immaterial to count separately. So we're going to call those manufacturing overhead. And remember, I said when it's direct materials, direct labor, or manufacturing overhead, it's going to be a product cost, because those are the three costs that make up our product: direct materials, direct labor, and manufacturing overhead. So anytime you choose that, you know it's going to be a product cost. The next item is lumber. Lumber is a huge cost of building a house, so that is definitely going to be direct materials. Okay, and we know it's going to be a product cost because it's one of those three we talked about: direct materials, direct labor, or manufacturing overhead. The next item is drywall. Again, that's a huge cost of manufacturing the house. So, and that is a material, so it's going to be a direct material. And again, it's going to be a product cost because it's one of those three items we talked about. Workers building the house frame. So anybody that works on the actual production of the product, whether it be an assembly line worker or construction worker, right? The people that are actually building the house, that's going to be direct labor. If it were the supervisor of these people, of the workers or the assembly line workers, then that would be manufacturing overhead. Anything that goes into the production of the product that's not direct materials and it's not direct labor, it's going to be manufacturing overhead by default. Okay, but this is direct labor because they are directly working on the house. And it's one of those three items, so we're going to also call it product cost. The next item says light bulbs, but again it says the cost of this material, the cost of this item is immaterial to the overall production. So it does go into building the house, right? You need light bulbs, but it's a very small cost. It shouldn't be included in direct materials because it's a very small cost. It's immaterial to the overall production, but we still need to cost it into those three items that make up the product cost. So if it's not direct materials and it's not direct labor, it's automatically manufacturing overhead. And again, it's one of those three product costs, so it's going to be a product cost. Cabinets. Cabinets are a pretty big price if you've ever had to replace cabinets before in a house. That's a pretty big item in making a house. So that is going to be a direct material because it is a physical material that's going into the house and it's a big cost. So we want to track it separately. And again, it's one of those three items that make up product cost, so we know it's going to be product cost. Depreciation on the construction equipment. So is construction equipment used in making the house or building the house? Yes, absolutely. And construction equipment's pretty expensive, so the depreciation is probably going to be a significant cost as well. but it's not a direct material, right? It's not something that we can directly put our hands on that's going to go into the house, and it's not direct labor. So if we already said we know it's a product cost and it's not direct material and it's not direct labor, then it automatically has to default to manufacturing overhead. If this were a piece of equipment they're using back in the office, right? A construction company always has an office, or most of the time, then it wouldn't be a product cost because it's not being used directly to build the building. If it's depreciation on office equipment that they're using back in the office, then that would be an administrative expense and it would be a period cost. Okay, so we know that this is a direct material, direct labor, or manufacturing overhead, so we know it's one of the 3 product costs. Chief Executive Officer salary. So this is somebody that works back at the office. This isn't an employee who works directly on building the product. So it's not direct labor. If it's not direct labor and it's a salary, it's automatically an administrative expense or a selling expense. It's not a product cost because this particular employee is not working on building the house. Your CEO is not going to go out there and hammer some nails, okay? Or install drywall or the AC equipment or anything like that. Their task is to run the business. So it's going to be an administrative expense, not direct labor, because he's part of the admin team. And because it's not one of those 3, right? It's not direct labor, it's not direct materials, and it's not overhead. It can't be a product cost because those are the only 3 items that get charged to product cost. So it's going to be a period cost. It's going to be expensed on the income statement that particular period. Advertising costs. Again, you're not building the building or whatever product you're making when you're having to use some advertising costs. So it's not direct materials, it's not direct labor, it's not manufacturing overhead because it's not used in building the building. Advertising cost happens to be selling expense because it's an expense to try to sell your product. After you've built it, oops, not administrative, so after you've built it, you have to advertise it for sale. So advertising costs are part of selling expenses. Since it's not one of the 3 product costs, we know automatically that it's a period cost. It's going to go to the income statement as an expense of this particular period. Okay, so those are an example of classifying these items, these costs, as different category costs, right? We have to categorize it as a cost type, and we have to categorize it whether it's product cost or period cost. So what does it mean when it's a product cost? That means it's going to go into the work in process inventory account, and that's an asset. Just like your regular inventory, we didn't have in accounting 211, we only dealt with people that sell products that are already built. We never dealt with the manufacturing company. So in accounting 212, we deal with manufacturing costs, and this is our first introduction into it.